Okay, Mrs. Komolafe wants to join in. I can admit her now? She'll be the only person here though. So how do I do this? Good afternoon, ma'am. You are welcome.
So I should come with you. Yes, please. Thank you. Okay. That's fun. You know, she's how never even bring how. Nice. Making the street. Comes to your family. Okay. Here. Well, you mean by you want okay. So, sounds like a full house.
Wow. That's the prayer. Thank you.
Okay. Just come.
Maybe somewhere here.
I'm not I see his laptop here.
Wow.
Where he was on.
Ah.
He's not on.
Okay, so he could leave it. You think he could have left it overnight?
Yes, he left it for night. That's what he did.
Ah. Okay.
So you can sit here. Talk to this. Let him know, and then he will know the next step to take.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm calling on you now.
No, no problem. Thank you.
Mhm.
So just looking at the time, I have to
Mhm.
settle.
Tell us that what's it?
Oh, thank you.
Hello, sir. What's it about? Yes, I'm on systems.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm that you can hear me. And that you can see me. Can anyone hear or see me?
I can hear you. I cannot see you.
Okay, thank you. Let me try that again. How about now?
Okay. I can see you.
Okay, Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the confirmation. Good afternoon, good day, good morning, depending on where you're joining us from. You are welcome, warmly welcome to the September edition of Quality Conversations. These are webinars that we hold monthly to just interact with health professionals or who are on their quality journey, just having conversations about challenges they may have, sharing tips that might help, and just create an environment for collaboration and peer learning. My name is Yota Fadipe, and I represent QBS Global, I beg your pardon, QBS Global, the organization hosting or behind Quality Conversations webinar. So you are very, very warmly welcome. I see some usuals here. I mean, our usual participants have joined in. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you join us. But for those of us who are joining us for the first time, I'm just quickly going to give you a run through of the organization. Like I said, this is Quality QBS Global. QBS Global is a quality management systems consulting firm. It is built on an expertise of over 25 years, and we specialize in, or rather, okay, before I go into specializing, our vision is to transform healthcare across Africa and beyond by championing innovative quality management practices, leveraging education, training, and effective implementation strategy. I mean, what's the purpose of learning if there isn't the opportunity to practice or to put to practice the things that you're learning? So we're not just particular about building capacity, we're just as interested in ensuring that it translates into effective implementation strategies. We specialize in quality management for pathology and healthcare organizations, and we've worked in a number of African countries that allow us to, really understand the challenges and the peculiarities of the healthcare system across Africa in order to tailor our offerings and our solutions accordingly. Our mission is to advance excellence in quality management across healthcare and other sectors, like I said, through education, systems optimization, stakeholder collaboration, and of course, a continued adherence to superior standards, that is aligning our practices with aligning our operations with global best practices. For us, our values centered around the word ethical. We're committed to excellence. We prioritize or we enjoy teamwork. We are humble in our approach to learning. We, integrate integrity at everything that we do. We are committed to our vision. We're agile in our approach to work, and of course, we strive for transparency and lucidity in everything that we do. We offer a range of services which you would learn about, some of which you're already familiar with, but I want to just really talk quickly about the purpose of today's conversation. And like I said, this is the September edition of the Quality Conversations webinar, and today is particularly interesting because we are taking a slightly different approach. Last month, we had Ask an Expert session where we had you ask us questions. And, this month we decided to go through the angle of storytelling, because stories tend to stick better. And so we wanted to engage on an even more practical level by sharing real stories, told by people who are on the field every day, implementing these things, just to give us an opportunity to glean wisdom from their experience and their expertise, learn from maybe their mistakes, if any, and see how we can really bridge the gap between knowledge and practice within our own context. So without further ado, I'm just going to give us a background. Today's session is going to also be structured in a panel session, and we have two amazing experts in our midst. And as usual, I have the, or not as usual, I am actually very honored today to be facilitating this particular panel session. So it's going to be a panel session. And beyond just listening to the answers and the stories that are being shared, I want to really encourage you to engage in the chat, ask additional questions if you have any, so that this conversation will be even more meaningful for you. So before I bring them on board, I'm just going to really quickly read their bios. We have, of course, our Managing Director, Mrs. Nene Oche, who is a quality management professional with a first degree in microbiology and a second in applied biosciences. She has worked for over 18 years within the Nigerian healthcare industry. She has over 13 years experience in quality management, training, audits, and accreditations to ISO 9001, 15189, and related standards. She is an erudite, articulate coach and trainer, as you already know. She has steadily and successfully guided teams obtaining ISO 15189 accreditation, successful third-party audits, and consistent re-accreditation subsequently. Nene, the Managing Director of QBS Global, manages clients across or has worked with clients across the West African sub-region. She's an active member of several national and international quality associations, including CLSI USA, the National Association for Healthcare Quality USA, Society for Healthcare Quality Nigeria, and International Society for Quality in Healthcare, ISQA. So, Mrs. Nene Oche, you are very, very warmly welcome to join us today on this panel session. Our second guest, whom many of you have probably already read about if you are on our mailing list, is Mrs. Mojisola Komolafe. Mojisola Komolafe is a business consultant committed to helping individuals and organizations reach peak performance and achieve excellent results in their chosen areas of endeavor. She has spent the last 13 years training, consulting, and rendering business advisory services to various individuals and organizations. She's passionate about business and project consulting and facilitates the connection of people with opportunities. She's currently a partner with LSSBI Advisory and heads project delivery and consulting. She is a certified project manager and certified Lean Six Sigma belt, black belt, I beg your pardon. She has been involved in various projects and has also trained thousands of students across various industries. Her areas of expertise include project management, people management, and process improvement. She is a project manager certified by PMI and has both the Prince 2 Foundation and practitioner certifications as well. She's also a PECB certified ISO 9001 2015 and ISO 21001 2018 lead auditor. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to warmly welcome Mrs. Moji Komolafe. You're very welcome, Ma. We're so happy to have you join us today. Okay, so I'm just really going to, because I know we have a lot to discuss today. I'm just going to dive in real quick. As a warm-up, if I may, I'd like for you to share with us your background, your professional background, how you came into quality and quality management systems, what sparked your interest, and what has that journey been like for you? I think we should probably have Mrs. Mojisola go first on this one. Ma?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the warm welcome. Wow, my journey into quality management systems. Very interesting one. And I remember, I think sometime in 2013, 2012, 2013, I was working in a particular consulting firm then, and I remember one of my bosses wanted me to attend an ISO, then it was ISO 9001, 2008 training. And, immediately I got into that session, I it was funny because I ran out. Why did I run out? So I said, my days, I was supposed to study law and I ran out because I saw clauses and all those things. And I said, what? So I come into work and the next thing I see is somebody saying, now, Moji, for your career growth, you need to now step up, not just project management, since you're now in processes, you need to understand more about quality, best practice. And I'm like, okay. And I'm gentle enough to sit in class to start, and then I begin to see clause this section, and I'm like, no, 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 no. This must be a joke. And because of the way it looked, I ran away. In all honesty, I actually freaked out. Fast forward to 3 years later, I started doing process improvements and working with organizations. Then it dawned on me that there was always a gap somewhere. And that gap, trying to bridge that gap between what we have and what's best practice. So I said, definitely there must be something more. So, and those were some of the things that led me into my journey of quality management systems. So I had gone for my Lean Six Sigma Black Belt training. I said there must still be something more. I just feel there's something more and then I went back to that place I ran away from years back. And that was when I started more into quality management systems, and then I understood that look, it's not so much as having to store up the clauses as if I was going to start answering in a law court to say, you know what, clause this section C says this, but more of you being able to understand the what and choosing how to apply it to bring it to practice. Now that made me feel comfortable because it made me feel more like myself. And that was how the whole journey began for me. When I get into any kind of engagement, I want to know, so what's best practice? How should you be doing this? What's best practice? And I think that's for me, drove me all the way to come this route. So, and that's been it. That's what's kept me on. To always also see what can happen. How can we make this better? For me, that made it work. So here I am today, years later, after running from that thing some years back, I find myself back here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love the story. And I think I agree with you absolutely about the clause. Clauses just being somewhat scary, And the way it's written, shall not, shall have. I agree that it can be. I think even for me, it's quite daunting too. But one of the things that I think I took out from the story you just shared is the fact that quality management systems implementation is actually bigger than project management because or it's beyond just basic project management, which is what you explained, because you said even after getting certified as a project manager, you still realized that there was more, and that was what brought you full circle back into QMS implementation. So I think that's the one thing that we can take from that it's not just about implementing a project. I mean, QMS is not just about implementing project and checking. I think it's beyond, like you said, ensuring that your activities, your processes are aligned with best practices, and then there's that opportunity for continued improvement. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to you, ma, Mrs. Oche. Tell us about your story. How did you get into quality?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It feels so good. Let me start my story by saying it feels so good to not be the one having to talk or lead the conversations. Okay, Jutta, thank you very much and well done. And welcome everyone. Don't mind me, just there somewhere. I just had to say it. So welcome. Okay, so my story is not. Is it as well? Let me. There's no need to compare, but I mean, Moji's story is just phenomenal. My story was more of, maybe I should call it happenstance. I I found myself just evolving into quality. I really wanted to be in the field of medicine. I was desirous to just do do big things. Like I remember vividly writing that I wanted to find the cure for HIV AIDS at the time when I was much younger. But that was the buzz then. I was like, what is this thing? So right from that young age, I was in primary school. In fact, I can still picture, no kidding, in my mind's eye where I was sitting in class when they asked you, what do you want to be and why? And I said, I want to be a doctor because I want to find the cure for AIDS. I still remember how the book looked and I wrote it in there. And that's passion, that problem solving. What is this big problem? What's this stubborn, as a mentor friend of mine would say, it's this wicked problem that is just causing problem all over the that I'm not hearing word again in my small childhood. Even allow me have peace. I want to solve that problem. So that problem solving, and then passion for healthcare, passion to see people well, passion for health and healing, just drove me. And I couldn't get into mainstream medical school. And I said, what's the next closest thing? I began to ask. And they said, oh, medical lab science, you also are able to, you know, find out things about, find bring solutions, that you're actually the one that helps the medical doctor to provide proper diagnosis for patients and treat them. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. I should be able to, yeah, that helps me. So still the two things, passion for health and wellness and problem solving. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to solve the problem for the doctor, let's go. And I began that journey. And then just before I made the final transition into fully being a medical lab scientist, I now began to hear some other things. And I said, okay, life, let me just carry on with life first, and then I will find my footing. And I got an opportunity because I done quality control at some time in my career, through my studies, through my education. I had the opportunity to come into quality in a medical lab. And I said, and it was more or less, try it. If you don't like it, come out of it. Go for it. Apply. See if you'd like it. If you would not like it, come out of it. And I really, 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 really want to take this moment to appreciate Dr. Mrs. Pamela Jackson Ajayi, who actually opened that door for me. And she said, that's the former MD of Pathcare Nigeria, formerly called Pathcare, morphed into Pathcare Nigeria, morphed into SynLab. Okay, so she said, just try your hands, and you have a bit of experience in quality. You have what it takes, and you have experience in healthcare as well. Try it. If you don't like it, and then I applied for the role and I got through and came in and into quality. And I was like, what do we do here exactly? Like, okay, we help build, we help solve problems, we help the medical lab scientists who help the doctors do their work right. And I was like, what am I looking for again now? What am I looking for again in this life? Let's go there. So I get to solve the root, any problem at the root, right? I go down and I'm the under G work for anybody's effectiveness all the way to the, and directly affects the patient. Yes, I'm like, let's do this. So that's how I started into quality in quality management systems implementation, really. I'm starting from healthcare before, and I began to expand into from medical lab, where I began to expand into other parts of healthcare. Thank you.
A very interesting story. I think for me, it was inventing the cure for cancer. So at least I know I wasn't the only weird one. But thank you so much for sharing. I think what I took out of the story that you shared is the fact that, and by the way, I have to say that I think you are the queen of root cause analysis, because even with your story, you kept going to the root. But just looking at a big problem and trying to, find the fundamental cause of that problem and address it from that area. I think that was what sparked your own curiosity, if I'm to summarize, and has led you on this journey. So thank you so much. Thank you both for sharing. So based on the stories that you've shared, I would like to ask as a follow-up, in your own experience, because one of the things you said is you help the lab scientists or technicians do their work more effectively so that the doctors can do their own work effectively. So what would you say is probably the trigger most times, for organizations when it comes to initiating QMS implementation project? What do you think typically? Because I think sometimes also, just like you were saying, Mrs. Oche, about entering the Department of Quality and being like, what are we doing here? I feel like sometimes the work is not appreciated because it's not obvious. So what in your experience would you say are the major triggers that you've seen? And I would also like to hear your perspective to Mrs. Komolafe. What would you say are the typical triggers? Maybe organizations feel like, oh, we're good, and then something happens and they're like, wait, they've been saying something about quality. Where are the experts? What typically triggers the need for organizations to initiate quality management journey? Anybody can go first. Anyone?
Okay, let me take the bait so that I can hand over to Mrs. Komolafe. Mrs. Komolafe is here with a rich. In fact, let me just leave. She has a wealth of experience and a wealth of interaction with organizations that you can't. It's so wide. I mean, she'll blow you away. So let me just give a little bit. Let me say two things, and I'll leave her to say the others. One is, there are quite a number in my head, but I don't know which of the two to work. I'll just take the first two that come to my mind. The first one that I've seen is a most common problem. I mean, the most common trigger is a problem, a big problem, a wicked problem that is difficult to solve. They're like, why are we finding it difficult? And sometimes it's the processes that are cumbersome. A leader somewhere that says that, there's something that we're not doing right. Why is our own part not working? Like, why our own process is not efficient? I've seen other people get it better. Why is our own different? Why is our own not? And they begin to ask questions, and then they hear, oh, okay, there's something called quality. Oh, walk the path of quality, or think about quality management, or they run into it somewhere somehow like that. Or most times you have sometimes people even have an idea, they've heard of it before, they've heard of quality, but they sometimes just wave it aside until a problem that seems to be hydra-headed and multi-sectoral, multi-departmental, intertwined, that looks like a cotton, is it not a cotton ball, what's the thing, wool, a thread, yarn, a ball of yarn that is difficult to unravel. And say, look, let's find somebody to solve this problem. That's the one. And the other would be profits. They say, we waste a lot. There's a lot of waste in our system. We need to improve our profits, this and that. And they say, okay, we hear that quality can help. So most times you have people come with those two. Either they want to solve a very big problem, or they're looking for improved efficiency, improved profitability, and all of that. I'll leave Moji to carry on from here.
Thank you very much, Nene. And I think very, very spot on to say that sometimes it's actually the cost that's driving some people to start looking for a solution, because they're finding out that they're wasting so much. And sometimes it's also a desire to say, can we offer better service than what we currently do? Sometimes for some organizations it's just, let's just do something better. What's the world's best practice? What are the bigger and better organizations than we are doing that we aren't doing yet? So how can we serve our customers better? What can we do? And then they start asking questions, and then somewhere along the line, they run into quality management systems. And then sometimes, for some organizations that I've seen, it's even a requirement. And I'll give you an instance. So I remember some years back where we were contacted by an organization because this was an organization in the oil and gas servicing. And they needed to service one of the major oil and gas firms, but they needed to have their own processes well put together. They needed to have had the QMS, ISO 9001 2015 certification and all of that. So they did not have a choice, because if they were going to be servicing that organization, they must meet that requirement. So for some people, it's actually even, the fact that you want to service us, you must be like us. So it becomes a requirement for them to serve their customers. And so they now have to go that route to now make sure that, look, we're better streamlined, and we're better aligned to this standards and methodology to be able to play in this league. And for some people, just like it's cutting down costs, for some people it is, let's see how we can make more money. So they understand that with the seal of, best practice comes more recognition, and then people get to know your organizations, the patronage increases, and so the profits will follow. So knowing this, having this at the back of their minds, some people will say, you know what, let's go the long haul. We're ready, whatever it takes, because we know it's an investment that's going to yield a massive result. So it could be so many things for so many people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I do want to say, I wanted to say thank you for giving specific examples. I just also wanted to say that we would appreciate maintaining the confidentiality of, clients. We understand that because this is a live event, we would appreciate maintaining the confidentiality of, specific case studies. But we do appreciate the examples given. If I am to summarize the responses from both of you, I would say a problem, or let me say triggers that pertain to value creation. So there's a problem, processes are inefficient, and so we need to work on quality. Finance could be another motivator, either in the area of reducing costs or increasing margins, to say, okay, and that's ironic, because typically when we think of quality services or quality products, we associate it with high cost. But to think that going through the route of hiring a quality consultant or leveraging quality to actually reduce costs by improving processes, I think that's a very interesting perspective. And then the part about it being a requirement, so to say, and the way I understand that is to say to expand. You're already doing well, there's no specific problem, but you want to expand, you want to, scale your operations, and that sort of necessitates the need for quality. Okay, thank you so much. I'm just quickly going to check. Okay, I do not see any comments, so feel free if you have comments, if there's something you'd want our guests or panelists to weigh in on in the course of this conversation, please feel free to use the chat. So on to my next question, and this just what's the word now? I really like how it layers on what we just finished discussing. Given the triggers, that we've just discussed, okay, my organization now is looking to grow its margins or reduce costs. What would you say are the major, how they say, what I ordered versus what I got? What sort of expectations do you see from these clients when they come and they're like, okay, this is actually our end goal. We want to meet this requirement for this, this reason, and then they get into the journey, and are there differences? Does it usually just align what they were expecting with the reality, or do you encounter, and I really would like Mrs. Komolafe to begin, answer this first, because like Mrs. Oche rightly said, you have a wealth of experience, you worked with different organizations, but I'm curious, do you encounter clients who are like, yes, we want to do this, and then halfway they're like, this is not exactly what we signed up for. It's maybe too complicated, it's probably taking too long or something. So what are some of the variances you notice between the expectations of clients, organizations, and then the realities of implementing quality management system? Would you say that there are myths you might have to debunk in the course of interacting with your clients? What are your thoughts, Ma?
Okay, thank you very much. So the early days of my practice, right? So I always felt that just because the client wants it, everything will just go smoothly, and then it would be a very wonderful sale, no hiccups, no problems, and we'll all be fine. I always assumed that because they wanted it, they're the ones that called me now. So let's just flow and, let's all be fine. Let's enjoy ourselves and all of that. But I found out that it doesn't always work that way. So you would sometimes get midway and find out that somebody somewhere was, I didn't know that it was like this. I didn't know. The truth is, there is really not anything like this. It's just the state of the mind. Sometimes we're not prepared to put in the work that is just required to get these things done. And that's what I've seen across board. Some people just feel, well, since the consultant is here, just drop this whole load on the consultant. Bam. Consultant deliver and get us a certificate. Unfortunately, that's not the way it works. Because, and like I still spoke with some clients recently, and I said, even if I just look at your processes and I sleep and I come up with something that is exceptional for you, you will not be able to own it because you did not create it. You did not have an input to it. And so a lot of times we just get midway and we find out that people have started to lose steam. And there could be many reasons for this. And I'm so certain we'll still touch on some of these reasons as we go. But there's you would just the way every project goes. So when you start, there's always that excitement. When you get into it, you get along the line somewhere, somebody's just wondering, but can this thing, can this cross just shift small and allow me breathe and all of that? The truth is, you can actually do it. It's not difficult. It's not hard. It just needs you to be focused and determined to say, you know what, we want to be better and we're going to be better. Just like every other thing that needs to improve. When you talk improvement doesn't come easy. Improvement is not something you walk along the way and then you say, oh, I have improved suddenly. Even if it is to slim down, there's an effort that must go into it. Even no matter whatever it is, if you want to regulate, work on your time management skills, there must be an effort that goes into it. Unfortunately, a lot of times when we begin implementation, people don't want to put in that effort. So you find out that some people just, I just felt that since we have a consultant, they'll just deal and we'll just take the back bench and watch. No, that shouldn't be it. In fact, if a consultant comes to your organization and takes over and says, look, this is what I'm going to do, you just sit down. Please call the person back and say, please come. Let's have a conversation, heart to heart. You will be deceiving us because when you are no longer here, we might not be able to solve our problems. And so that's in practice, you will find out that sometimes people don't get as excited as they were when the whole idea of improvement, the whole idea of getting better, they don't get so excited along the line because they need to put in some effort. But really, that effort is needed. That effort is needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think if I am to sort of summarize, one of the things that I think I understood from your answer is there's sort of an underestimation of the work involved. There's also a misconception around, the distribution of roles and responsibilities, especially when they have to engage an external person to lead that quality QMS project. So they have the assumption that, okay, because we are bringing someone on board, he or she has to bear the weight of the work that needs to be done, or maybe it's not supposed to be so difficult. It's supposed to be simplified. Maybe you're the one making it complex. So I think that's very interesting. That's very interesting perspective, and I would probably drill into that later on. But I would like to hear Mrs. Oche's own answer to the question. Ma.
Okay. Hoping that we can get through all the questions you have for us. But yeah, okay. For me, expectations typically, I think Moji has summed it. There's really little I need to add to that. Sometimes people have done their research, and for the most part, the expectations differ from the reality in implementation in terms of timelines, the realistic timelines to completion. Sometimes people don't understand that it's surprising and alarming to most contexts partners that the situations in the organizations are more complex than they first imagined. So most times you'll think, oh, we just in like 6 months, you should be done. It shouldn't take more than 6 months. It's just to give them the procedures for this part and just tell them what to do on this side, and they will implement it. But realize, understanding the full TQM, total quality management, and the interconnectedness of the different support units and systems. We call it a system, quality management systems implementation. Every system needs to be optimized, every system. So that really takes a toll on the timelines. And most times, expectations with timelines usually differ. If you can permit me to make a very big request, a huge request, I have an overlap. So if you can permit me to allow you and Mrs. Komolafe proceed for a while before I come back in. I'll just turn on my camera when I'm back in. I have an overlapping, as strange as it is, speaking. So I need to quickly speak somewhere and then I'll be back with us. So over to you. Okay. Carry on, please.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you also for sharing even before your exit. So, and I think in speaking about the timeline, I think I agree, and it really aligns with what Mrs. Komolafe was saying about not really understanding the work involved. Because if you do not understand the work involved, you cannot allocate sufficient time to execution. And so that makes a lot of sense when there is an underestimation. And I think also what she said about it being a system, that also again ties in with your response, because you were talking about ownership. It's not just about saying these are the papers, these are the documents. There has to be ownership, otherwise there will be no sustainability. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I think even for me too, because I'm relatively new, not relatively, I'm very new to the field of quality, and I found it to be a little vague initially, like, why is it taking so long to just move from X to Z, until I started being part of the process and I understood that, because I think for me, just, listening again to both of you speak, probably the reason it tends to take so long is also because you're managing people along the way. People are the ones that have to own the process, and it takes a while, for them to adapt to change and make the required adjustments. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I'm going to make an attempt to move quickly because we have a number of questions. So we're going to move on to the next stage where we're going to be discussing some of the struggles and lessons learned as far as QMS implementation is concerned. So, Ma, in your experience, what would you say are the common pitfalls or roadblocks in QMS implementation? I know you had mentioned, a client or an organization losing steam. Initially there's that drive, there's that eagerness to want to implement it, but somewhere along the way, there's that loss of momentum. So what would you say are some of the common roadblocks, that typically hinder or prevent people from succeeding with their QMS project?
Okay, so there are quite a couple of them, but there are a few that I'd like to highlight. One of it is the commitment of leadership to the quality management system journey or to the implementation. Leadership is everything. And if in leadership we're having disjointed thoughts, we're not coherent, we're not all agreeing as leaders of this organization that, look, we want to go this route and we're ready to go the 9 years. There's every chance that we will not achieve it. So you could have a client here say, oh, we're going to do this. And then they sign up and say, we're ready. And then you get to the organization, you find out that, one of the senior managers is not in alignment with what you want to do. And now that makes it very tough. That makes it very, very difficult because you now have more work to do. Aside the work you have come to do, you have to start looking for how to manage the stakeholder to be able to get them involved and interested, in this whole journey. And if you try and they're not eventually interested, now that would cause a failure of the entire system because somewhere along the line, you'll always see the cracks. And remember, it's a system. We can't work in silos. It has to be a system. There has to be that link between every, connected part of the organization. So we must ensure that leadership is committed to doing this. And a lot of times we find out that sometimes they pay lip service to it. You just find someone say, oh, we're interested. Okay, so we need some resources. The resources are not yet available. Just hold on. Come back later. Now, that shows the amount, because when you're committed, it's not just we want to do, it's about we're ready to commit resources as well. We're ready to commit everything at our disposal to make sure that this is achieved. So if leadership is not committed, we've hit a roadblock already. Another major one, which for me, like if you're not even able to go past, is going to be another very disruptive one. And that's team engagement, engaging the different teams, engaging the employees. Now, if the employees are not carried along with this idea of, oh, this is where we're going, and they have not bought into that vision, this work is going to be very hard. In fact, we have hit what they will call you have dived the rock. That's what has happened. Because you will find out that the more you try to move one step forward, you will find out that you're taking another 3 or 4 backwards. When one person is saying, okay, don't worry, we will give you this information, we'll be available to supply you this, you will find out that somebody else is coming back to say, no, we don't have this document. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, we are not going to be available until this particular time. Now, this is coming up because someone somewhere has not carried these people along. They have not given them a buy. And that's why one of the first things to do when you are going to be starting a QMS implementation is to involve all the stakeholders, to have more like a town hall, to carry everybody along so that they won't say, It's for some people. And then you now start having the them versus us kind of syndrome. I have seen that happen, and it hasn't been nice. I remember with a client, some people just came up and said, they know themselves. They're the ones that wanted, they just picked some of them to go and get certified so that they will say they are auditors, and then they just picked. And when I heard it, I felt so bad because it meant that somewhere along the line, something had gone wrong. So those are some of the, roadblocks that you can easily detect, but there are so many others. Communication, if you cannot work on proper communication, there's going to be a problem. The system cannot stand. And in quality management systems, there's no way you can proceed without proper communication. So let me just leave us with that because of the time. I'm also looking at my time. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. As you were speaking, I was like, I think a QMS consultant has to wear the hat of a project manager many times because central to what you're saying is stakeholder engagement and interacting, ensuring that the support you're getting from leadership isn't just lip service, but it's something that they are willing to back up with action. And I think that's probably the first thing you see on an ISO standard, always talking about leadership commitment. So it makes a lot of sense. But I wanted to ask, just as you were speaking, just very quickly, because I'm also being mindful of time, is whose responsibility is it primarily? This stakeholder engagement activity. Who is it? Is it from the leadership of the organization that wants it to say, okay, this is what we are doing? Because you also talked about getting the buy-in of the team, or is it the external person who is coming in as a consultant? Whose primary responsibility is it, or is it shared? I just wanted you to weigh in on that quickly.
Okay, so it could be a shared responsibility. However, leadership within the organization must have prepped the teams that this is the vision, this is how we're charting this course, this is what we're going to be doing, and then we're going to be inviting a consultant. Now that gives the consultant a soft landing. So I'm not just coming into a war zone where people are already thinking, there's something in it for some people and all of that. No, leadership has already given us all a big picture, and they have showed us how we all contribute, how we all fit in, what are various supplies as departments or units, and as individuals, what we're all bringing to the table and how it's going to help to achieve the goal of the organization. Now, when leadership within the organization has done this, most times organizations always have maybe a quality department and all of that, and they have a team lead. Now, that team lead also has a role to play, because sometimes you will not see the CEO being the one to do all of this groundwork. And so that team lead too should be able to discuss with other leaders at his own level and subordinates as well, to be able to engage them, to let them know why they are doing this. When they have done all of that, now the external person now comes in, and that person is also able to work with everyone available. You're not going to feel that I prefer to work with this person rather than this person. No, as a consultant, you have a great stakeholder responsibility role to manage. So at the end of the day, you are coming in, somebody has given you a soft landing, you can't afford to mess it up. So you're coming in, just making sure that you are adding value, bringing the teams together in cases where you notice that, they have worked more in silos than as a system. You're trying to harmonize it and trying to make them all see the benefits that they will, that would accrue to them being a system rather than working in silos.
Okay, thank you. So it's shared responsibility. Okay.
Yes, it
that
is.
Makes
yes, it is.
sense. Thank you so much, Ma. Okay, so moving in quickly, just want to drill in again on the people part, because it's largely dependent on how well we are able to lead people. Again, in your experience, how important would you say training and capacity building is with respect to QMS project implementation? And then what would you say are the major knowledge gaps that you have observed when embarking on such projects?
Okay. So when you say training and capacity building, it's should I say it's a given? Like you cannot do without it. It's the crux of it. Um, when you don't know why you're doing something, abuse is inevitable. If you don't know the reason, you don't know the why, you will most likely just do it carelessly. And that's one of the benefits that training would offer you in that sense. Training will help the various individuals within that organization to know, oh, this is what we're expected to do, or this is what's going to be done, and all of that. So the first thing you're thinking about is let's equip these people, let's train them. Like I said, if a consultant tells you, I'm going to do this for you, just go rest and all of that, please tell them, look, you want to put us in trouble because you are not helping us, you are not building us. So the first thing that consultant should even be thinking about is, how do I empower you? And that's what training and capacity building does. How do I empower you so that you can think this way, so that you can even see the gaps? There are some gaps you will see even when I am not seeing it. I might be blind to it, but because it's your system and you're now empowered, you can see it. And you can quickly tell them, this shouldn't be there, because now you know. So for me, training is fundamental. You can't do without it. It's very important. Now, what are some of the common knowledge gaps?
Yes.
Well, there are quite a number of them. Let me say first, so many people think immediately they hear quality management systems, the next thing they're thinking is, audits. Somebody is coming to check. Somebody is coming to look. Somebody is coming to arrest us. There's a police coming to inspect, and that's not true. That's a lie. So a lot of people do not even understand when we talk audits, what does it mean? That's a major, the idea of audits is very vague and high level in some people's minds. So in their mind, somebody's coming to find faults, somebody's coming to put me in trouble. That's what is ringing in their minds. And for me, that already is a knowledge gap. It tells me you don't even know what you're dealing with at all. And so you need to understand what exactly is this about. You will find out a lot of people don't understand what quality in itself is. So when people talk quality, they just feel it is us being able to adopt the standards. Meanwhile, we're not saying just adopt the standards. We're saying look at the standards and try to make sure that you align what you do, tailor it to align with what the standard says, which means the standard is not saying this is how you must do it, hard and fast rule. No, it is only giving you an idea, a guide to say this is how it should be. Then look at your own process and so you will find out that the whole idea of quality management systems, ISO, audits is very, very vague. A lot of people do not know it. In fact, sometimes you hear the words and the way you now look at the person, I thought you understood what you were saying. You find out that no, they did not know it. And then you have to sit them down, help them understand it. No, it's not, it's a myth to say that this is how. They don't tell you how. They just tell you, oh, this is what you must do to, be the best. And you wanting to improve yourself can now begin to say, okay, so how do I put this? Maybe I should design it in this way. Maybe I should make it look this way. It's going to fit me nicer if I. At the end of the day, you are not discarding what the standard has said. You're just making sure that you're able to tailor it to suit your own environment and your reality. So there's so many knowledge gaps. People don't know what audits are. They don't understand what the quality management system itself is. They don't even know what quality in itself means. And those are a lot of issues that you see around. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. This was very enlightening. You said training. I love the part where you said training empowers you. Because now that you're equipped, now that you know what to look out for, you are in a better position to spot the challenges. You also said training explains the why. Why are we embarking on this journey? Why is it important for us? Why should I be on board? And I think that's also relevant. And in explaining or identifying knowledge gap areas, you mentioned understanding what an audit is and what its purpose is, because I think I'm among those people who feel like auditors are coming to find fault. But I have learned now that it's beyond, it's not about finding faults, but I think it's about identifying areas for improvement instead.
Yeah.
So you said also in the area of what was it? Interpreting the standards. There's something Mrs. Otte often says. ISO tells you the what, but it doesn't tell you the how, which is what you were saying too, that they're not saying you must do it exactly this way. But I think when you are empowered, through training, you are in a better position to innovatively apply or adapt the standard to your own context. So that makes a lot of sense. And I think for those of you who were afraid of audits, if you are here, fear no more. There's nothing to be afraid of. So just drilling in further on the people part, and also because I know that you are an expert when it comes to change management conversations and training. How would you say team culture, whether it's supportive or resistant? I know you've also talked about it when you were highlighting the role of leadership, and stakeholder engagement. But again, how would you say it plays into, just maybe highlight one or two, areas in which team culture or organizational culture impacts on the success or failure of QMS projects?
Okay, thank you very much. And let me say that organizational culture is everything. You get to a place and they say, this is how we do this here. And you'll find out that if you do not either work with what they do or try to look for a way to, buy them over to your side to show them a reason why what they do might not be relevant right now anymore, you would have a big challenge, because culture is everything. That's what they've been doing. That's what they know. That's what they feel is best. And I can tell you for free that I have seen this play out positively and negatively. I have been in environments where their team culture has been fantastic, and it has helped us to deliver work at the speed of light. Like, because everybody felt, oh, this is ours. So they have a sense of ownership. One of their major values as an organization was ownership, taking responsibility. And so everybody made it like, you know what, this project is ours. It can't fail. And it did so much to me, because it made me want to give more of myself, even when it was beyond the contract scope. I just felt, you know what, these people are willing to do this. So let's give it all it takes to ensure that it's done, right? On the flip side, I have also seen where it's been a struggle, and you keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And at those times, it's almost like squeezing water out of a rock, and you're having to do much more, because their culture is just that way. And that's, one of the most difficult things to change in an organization is the culture. And from so my second degree is in organizational behavior, and we have learned and I have seen it practically. In fact, I have seen places where to change the culture, they practically had to change all staff members.
Wow.
Yes, practically, they were almost having to change almost all their staff members, because if they had left them, it will keep being, this is how we do it here. This is what we do here. We don't do that here. And whoever you bring is going to keep struggling. So I'll just encourage that if you get into a place where you notice that the culture is a very resistant one, it does not mean that you would not be able to implement. It just means that you would have to do more. It means that at that point, you will do much more than being just that consultant that has come to implement. You would also be trying to shape a culture. Because that culture you're also shaping is one of the things that would enhance your implementation eventually and sustain it. Because if the culture is poor and bad, no matter the kinds of improvements that you have made and how good your implementation is, they're going to revert back immediately you leave. Immediately you leave, they are going to revert back to their status quo. So it's important that when you notice that, you can have a conversation with management, and there are different ways to start working on culture. You just know that it's another work to do. But if you can get it right with the culture, you're going to get so many other things right with implementation.
Okay. Thank you. As you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, I was like, many of the people on this call are, probably leading teams within their organizations, and maybe they are part of, the QMS project within, as it relates to their department. And I was saying, so it means that as a team lead, one has to be on the lookout for the dominant culture, within that team. Okay, what's the culture? What are the people here like? And is this something that can enhance or hinder, the work that we are trying to achieve? So I was just highlighting that to say, even if you are not at that, top management level, where you are able to, you may decide to change all staff member, like you were, describing. Within your team, you can, start to say, okay, let's do things a bit differently in order to enhance the quality of our work. So thank you so much, Ma.
Thank you. And just to quickly add to that,
please.
Even if you're not at that role high up there, it can begin with you. You notice that the culture is poor, be that example of what you want to see. So start the work from you. If the culture is one of, we come late, we're very poor in response time, can you change the narrative? Make sure that whenever a team member needs something from you, be the right example. Make sure you set the pace within the shortest period of time. Get them what they need. Do what it is that has to be done. Make sure it starts with you, and gradually your whole team begins to change. And before you know it, the entire organization catches that fire. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I've heard a saying that your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And I think that's very apposite here. When we preach in quotes with our behavior, it goes a longer way than when we're just saying things. Okay, so I'm just going to skip one question and move on, and then I think it could inform part of how we close out this particular session. So we're going to move quickly to successes and turning points with respect to QMS project implementation. And the first question I want to ask is, what role do GAP, and this is me sort of coming back to audits, what role do they play in helping an organization move from that problem phase, and this is me going back to the triggers. We said problems could trigger, QMS project. We said the need to improve, to lower costs or to increase margin or to align with best practices. So what role do gap assessments or having a clear roadmap, what do these play? What roles do these tools play in helping us move from that where we are to where we need to be? And then if there's any story that you have that sort of helps drive home this point, it would be great to hear it. Thank you, Ma.
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, I wanted to say you could go on, Ma.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, let me say that, sometimes we assume a lot. Sometimes we just feel that our systems are perfect, that we're flawless. Sometimes we just look at ourselves and just assume that we're so good the way we are, until we actually tell somebody to do an analysis or an assessment, and then they give us the score sheets. And then they now begin to tell us, you know what? This point, you didn't put a full stop. This place, there's no comma. This place, and that's when you begin to find out that, oh, really, I never knew. I didn't see it in that way. And that's the job of the gap assessment. It helps us to, you can easily see the organization as it is. And it's very, very important. This is so recent to me. And I remember an organization was saying, oh, we have this, we have that, we have. And I said, oh, awesome, fantastic. In fact, let me use a very common exclamation, fantabulous. And, when they told me, oh, we've just even gotten this and we've just gotten that. And I'm like, excellent. So let's do this gap analysis. So I told them what we were going to be looking out for. I shared what I needed. And then we started. Yours truly. By the time we were done, I gave a picture. I almost asked them, please, who gave you what you said you had? And I'm sure they were asking themselves too. That, in all fairness, who gave us what we were brandishing around that we have? Because this was just growing up, I don't know if that is still I can't say it's still the same thing now. When we were younger, they would tell us that the way you sit for a picture is the way you will find yourself when the picture eventually comes out. But today with AI, you can't say the same thing anymore. So it was just practically me giving you a picture of yourself. The way you sat down, it was your documents, it was your information, it was everything you gave that gave birth to what you see in front of you. And really, they were like, oh, wow, we still have a lot of work to do. And so you cannot downplay that gap assessment bits when it comes to implementation. You need it. Because sometimes you just assume that you are high up there, and really, you're not. You're not. You just need somebody to check it, and then you'll be able to say, okay, you just need to amend this a little bit, a little here and there, and then you'll find yourself at the right place. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. Mrs. Oche, would you like to say one or two on this particular question? Rather?
Yeah, awesome. I really like the analogy she gave, like I was hearing her in Yoruba. Okay, so yes, the gap assessments play and roadmaps play a phenomenal role. She's talked a lot about gap assessments. Let me talk a bit about roadmaps, maybe in about a minute. Roadmaps help they play a significant role in helping the clients or the organization see exactly what hurdles need to be overcome, what resources need to be made available. Okay, so when I'm talking about resources now, not just financial or whatever, like time. So at the beginning part of every roadmap, you talk about sensitization sessions. You would need to bring everyone together. Everybody has to be a part of that conversation. That's planning of, okay, how do we get every team member? Not that, okay, they're on leave, so just leave them, and they are out of the country and they are not. We have to now plan to make sure that everybody is captured. Okay, we are running shifts, and because we're running shifts, people on night shifts, they will not participate. No, that plan has to be made. So seeing that, having that roadmap on ground would help an organization or the stakeholders within the organization, decision makers, look at it and say, okay, so we need resource for trainings. We're going to have a training in 2 months' time. We're going to have another gap assessment in 4 months' time. We're going to have another audit in 6 months' time. There's something to aspire to. We more or less create milestones for people to work towards. It's almost putting ahead of you the next goal to reach out to, instead of looking at a big project. Hey, we're aspiring to accreditation, or we're aspiring to certification. We're aspiring. You don't know where we are. You don't even know. You're unable to see really how well you're progressing on the journey. But when you have a roadmap, it gives you the opportunity to say, oh, check, we've done 1, we've done 2, we've done 3, and you who does our milestones for our organizations, our clients, they're in the best position to talk about this also, Yuta. I'm going to sign out a bit for another few minutes.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. To summarize both answers, I would say gap assessment, just like you. I love the example. It was the first time I was hearing it about how you see it being how you show up in the picture. But I think it has, cemented that knowledge for me. So gap assessment shows you where you are. It's like it shows you where you are currently, highlighting all the flaws, highlighting all the things that are good about you. Roadmap shows you where you need to be and how to get there, working backwards. And I think that's very, very important. They said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming. And I think just going back to the why, okay, I want to attain accreditation because I want to service certain clients. Without knowing where you are, you won't know how far from that goal you are. So I think a gap assessment is really critical, and we shouldn't overlook it. I think it's something that we should always jump at, whatever opportunity we have to have that done. It's always good because it gives us a realistic objective, especially when it's being done by an external person, such as you, because you're not part of the system. There's no reason to be biased. You can say, okay, this is actually how it is. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Ram. Looking at our time, I think we will probably be able to take 1 or 2 more questions, just so that we're able to do justice to them. So the first is around sustaining your success. So let's assume you've done your gap assessment, you've created your roadmap, you've decided to take action, you have team buy-in, everybody's on board, and you're now starting to hit your milestones. In your own experience and practice, what steps do you typically take? And I would like for you to be as pragmatic as possible to sustain those gains, both in the short term and long term, because one of the things you've been highlighting throughout this conversation is being able to sustain it even after the consultant has gone. So what are the immediate steps? Okay, we've hit this particular milestone. What are the things that you would typically put in place to ensure that that's cemented, and then you can move on and build on the progress?
Okay, thank you very much. And for sustaining the gains, there's something called continuous improvement. And I like the way that, even in quality management systems, this is put up and highlighted. It's very legible and very bold. And it means that we need to keep deliberately seek for ways to improve. In my knowledge of project management, we call it Kaizen and Six Sigma. It's a Japanese word for little improvements. Don't wait to do the next very big thing. Can you start with just little improvements, an adjustment to our process, just a little bit here and a little bit there, so that we don't fall back? As a matter of fact, we say in process improvement that any process at all that you do not look for ways to improve, no matter how little, in about 3 months, you will find out that they have reverted back to what they used to be. Right? So it means that we must deliberately look for ways to keep improving these things. And beyond that, I'm also an advocate for, from time to time, let's have trainings and sensitizations across the organization, just to let everybody become conscious of how they're contributing and what they're contributing to, this implementation that we have just concluded. Everybody, from time to time, you can just pick something from one of the standards. Let's highlight it. What does it even mean? How can we talk more about this? And then we talk about it and take it back to our work. So what does just this little bit, what does it mean in my own work? Now, doing this kinds of reinforcements from time to time helps people to be on the lookout and on the alert. And also, no matter how much we don't like it, having gap assessments, having audits from time to time also helps us to stay the course. Because from time to time, somebody is going to just come, we're having an internal audit, or we're having a process audit, or it's just to check how we're doing. And that's why if all you always think about when an audit is coming is fault finding, you need to remove that cap now. Boom. And say, I'm not wearing this anymore. Whenever you hear it, begin to think, how can I improve? What can I do better? Maybe there's something I'm not seeing, somebody else is seeing. Now, when you begin to see it in that light, whenever they bring a recommendation up, it helps us to, put things together. And in that manner, our organizations can be more strengthened, and we're able to sustain those gains that we have gotten after our implementation. It won't just be, we're waiting for the next certification audit or the next surveillance audit before we, no, that's not going to be the goal. We're just looking for how can we be a better version of ourselves as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. Let me summarize. I like to summarize because it's one of the ways that I learn, and I think it will help our audience. So you said, ask, how can I improve on this continuous improvement that, and I think what you said was very powerful. You said, when you do not improve on something within 3 months, you revert. So you don't even remain on that same level, you actually retrogress, and that's dangerous. So ask how you can improve, conduct gap assessments, from time to time, just to ensure that everybody's aligned, and then training, incorporate more frequent training to bring everybody up to speed. Thank you so much. I would like to attempt to squeeze in 2 more questions, two more, but the answers would be like a minute each. So the first one is around the role of communities. And I want to thank you so much for your patience and, just really dishing out so much knowledge and insight and being very practical too. Thank you so much, Ma. So the first question, or the penultimate question, is what are the roles of communities and peer networks in sustaining successful QMS projects? Do you think it's necessary? I know you've been talking about working in systems versus silos within an organization, but how about across an organization or within an industry? What do you think about the importance of communities or peer networks? Do you think it's necessary? Do you think organizations can be fine without them? What are your thoughts, ma'am?
So when you talk communities and peer networks, for me, I feel that they're very good and very important because they're going to be able to give you feedbacks from time to time. They will be able to support you in a kind of way, and you're also seeing best practice. You're seeing best practice. It's not looking like, oh, just what I know. So it's a form of knowledge sharing. Let me use that word. It's a form of knowledge sharing. So somebody else, oh, I've tried it in my industry. Oh, I have seen this work here. And then I'm hearing that I have not practiced it. Let me go give this a try. Now it does that for you. You have that advantage of, enjoying knowledge from a whole lot of people and all of that. It just brings about collaboration. Like I tell people today, there's nothing to compete about. The sky is large enough for every one of us to fly and soar, right? Rather than compete, can we begin to collaborate? Can we begin to,
Yeah.
see where areas where we can support one another, and you will see us making something better than we probably would have done individually, right? So for me, communities help you to, collaborate. There are some things that you do that I probably do not do, but because we're in the same community and we're all in this journey together, I can tell you there's this opportunity here, there's that one there, and we can collaborate, we can share resources, share ideas, support one another. And for me, it's a good way to grow, even as an organization. Individuals also need such. So for me, it's a perfect one.
Thank you. Thank you. Peer
Yeah.
learning helps you not to rest on your laurels because you can see
Yeah.
what's obtainable in that context, especially when you're feeling like you've gotten to a peak yourself. And it gives you the opportunity to collaborate. Very, very powerful. Final question. Final question. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who has stayed through up until this point. My final question is now, really addressing our audience, very specifically and saying, if you were to advise somebody who is just starting their QMS journey or who is considering it, let's assume there is, one senior management staff here on this call who is thinking, maybe we should actually give this thing a try. What 3 things would you tell them to prioritize, for successful implementation and scale up or sustenance of that project? Just 3 things.
3 things. I would say make sure you get leadership buy-in and leadership commitment. That will determine so many things for you. I would also say engage the team you're going to be working with well, because you can't do it alone. Even when you have it all in your head, you know where you're going, you know, oh, this would help the organization, it will take us far. They might not see it. So you need to make sure you bring as many people as you can into the picture. And the last one, I would say is don't give up. Don't give up. No matter what happens on that journey, don't give up. Just keep pushing at it. Make little improvements till you hit the mark, but do not give up. That's what I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much, Ma, for a truly insightful session. I've learned a lot personally. And I would like, in a minute or two, if those of us still on this call could share some of the things that they have learned from today's session. I think I liked how you closed out just now, and we'll just take a final 1 minute, closing remark from you. But, just hearing you say leadership, stakeholder engagement, and then not giving up. I think for me, that was the biggest part, because in it, you're saying that it's not going to be easy. There'll be challenges, it's not going to be a smooth ride, but your why should be big enough to sustain you. You shouldn't let up on that day. the challenges. So thank you so much, Ma. Do you have any closing remark before we close out for today? We have just about 2 minutes left.
Okay, so I would just like to say that the quality management system journey is an interesting one. And don't forget, it's not just about you. It's about the people you are servicing. At the end of the day, always think about the people you are servicing. Now, when you think about them, you will want to do the extra, you will want to give the extra, you will know that it's worth going on this journey. So at the end of the day, I'll come back again to say, don't give up because your why, it's not big enough, and I'm not to feel good doing this because I need a marketing tool. I am doing this because my customers, my clients, they deserve it. They deserve to be served. They deserve quality. They deserve excellence. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ma. And that sort of concludes today's Quality Conversation webinar, the September edition. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I really want to appreciate you, Ma, for taking out the time, for honoring our invitation, and for sharing so freely with us. We're so grateful. If you aren't already, you should follow us across our social media platforms. I think you can also reach our guest or via LinkedIn. I think that information can go out with our next email. Does that work, Ma? LinkedIn? Okay, thank you. So we'll provide that information in our next, in our subsequent email to you, in case you'd like to learn more, to reach out to connect with her. So if you're not following us on social media, please do also take a moment to fill our feedback form to share your thoughts on today's session. Did you like it? What did you like about it? What's your biggest takeaway? It is highly appreciated. And I also want to say that when Mrs. Komolafe was talking about the importance of community, that we recently launched a community specifically for quality professionals in healthcare. And the link to join that community is also in the chat. We encourage you to join. She said it's important. It's, promotes peer learning, gives you the opportunity to collaborate, helps you to keep abreast with industry practices, trends, and insights. And that's exactly what the community was designed for. You can also join us, follow us on our WhatsApp channel for on-the-go quality-related tips and insights. I also have to take a moment to apologize that our MD, Mrs. Nene Oche, couldn't close out this particular meeting with us. She extends her apologies and is looking forward to hosting again next month. So thank you so much for your time. Do have a lovely evening and rest of the day, and we will see you via emails and on the community and on social media, and of course next month during our Quality Conversations webinar. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye, Ma. Thank you.